Hi everyone, and welcome to our Arty class, held every Tuesday at 2:30 UK time. Shopkeep Arty makes it hassle-free for artists to create amazing items with their artwork that can then be bought by their supporters. During these unusual times, we set up this free webinar to offer people of all ages something a bit different, improve mental health and your general well-being. So far, the feedback we've been getting has been really fantastic, from children through to adults, and word is starting to spread. So thank you so much for all your support and encouragement so far. As you may know, we've a limited number of spaces available on this Zoom webinar so that you can ask questions directly to the artist. If you haven't already, you can visit shopkeeparty.com and register for next week's event. You could even do it now while I'm rambling on. They're getting ever more popular, so the sooner you register, the better. If you're watching live on YouTube, hello. If you wouldn't mind pressing the little thumbs up like button, that would be great, just so that others can see that this is streaming. We want as many people as possible to experience the joy of art and creativity, and your like might just help us to get that out to a wider audience. Right, so let's have a look at what happened last week. First of all, I'll just share my screen. So hopefully you can see here, we did a buzzing bee. Our guest artist was Jane Betteridge, and as you can see from the blog, we had some amazing pictures sent in by our viewers. As always, we do have a weekly competition winner, and a mystery guest will announce this at halftime break. I wonder if you can guess who that mystery guest might be, but just look at some of the artwork here that was submitted. And our youngest entrant, if I just scroll down a bit further, was, we may have had a younger one, but this one had their name on it. Here we go. Hope looks quite young there. Marcel, 5 years old. I thought that was a great little entrant. Got a real bit of movement and passion about that. So I don't know whether you're watching this one again, Marcel, but hello. Right, so let's stop the sharing there. Come back to you. This week we are joined by Helga Picknell-Velkenier, a professional mixed media artist and teacher originally from Brussels, who also runs an artistic daycare service for adults with special needs in the UK, which is a fantastic thing. And I've seen some photos. It looks like this full of energy and lots of people enjoying themselves. Helga's work's also been displayed in several exhibitions, including the Museum of Modern Art in Brussels. Before we begin, just to let you know, everyone is muted automatically, except for Helga and myself. However, if at any stage you'd like to ask a question, if you just tap the screen and press the raise hand icon, I can then let you ask Helga your question. I can see actually we've got a couple of people with a hand raised at the moment. So Julie, I don't know whether you want to ask a question. If not, you can put your hand down, but I'll invite you in if you want to. Here we go. Julie, you're on mute at the moment.
Unmute.
Hi, Julie.
Hi.
Did you want to ask a question?
No.
Oh, okay. Don't worry, I'll put your hand down. Okay, no problem. Don't worry.
Oh, you said thumbs up, so I.
Oh, okay. Oh no, it was the thumbs up on YouTube. Don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry. But thank you anyway. Thank you anyway for raising.
Okay.
Hold on a sec. And I've also got Rishi's wanting to ask a question as well. Hello, Rishi.
Hello.
Hello.
What do we do? Because I haven't got tracing paper, so I just did it directly on the piece of paper.
Okay, I'll just ask, in fact, we'll come to that in a minute. I'll ask Helga that when we start.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess that's a good prompt. Without much further ado, to put you over to Helga, and who'll then take you through painting abstract rooftops. Can't wait to see how this turns out. So Helga, hello.
Hello. Right, thank you very much, John. Okay, so hello everyone. And with everyone, I think I mean sort of a wide range of people. We have children watching, adults, we have artists watching. So I'm going to try and explain a little bit about abstract art, as broad as I can. So I'm going to try and make it sound a little bit simple, hopefully, to understand. Hopefully you all had a chance to make a drawing on a little bit of tracing paper. If you haven't got tracing paper, maybe you can quickly have a look in a cupboard if you've got any greaseproof paper. You only need a small size, and just quickly draw a few houses on there, because you know the person who just asked that might be something you might quickly want to ask your mom quickly to sort it for you.
I guess I'm also thinking, Helga, what about if they have done it on a piece of paper? Because are you going to be turning it over and getting them to rub the pencil on?
Yes, but you need to see what.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So baking parchment or that sort of thing would be.
Yeah,
be
you need to be able to see through it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we are going to go from something that looks like this, just a line drawing, to hopefully a more abstract work. So something that basically looks like this. So many people either say, I don't really like abstract, or I don't really understand it, all those sorts of things. So I'm hoping that I can at least sort of try and help you to understand it a little bit. So last week with Jane Betteridge, we drew or painted a bumblebee. And so obviously everyone, when the painting was finished, you could see it was a bumblebee. So when I show you this, you can't immediately tell that this is based on St. Ives. So that's the whole idea of abstract art. You'll be inspired at the colors of a bumblebee. You can be inspired about the texture of the bumblebee. If I'm just going to try and compare it with a bumblebee, because everyone knows what that is. The shapes, the sound it makes, you know, it could be the repetition of the sound it makes. You could try and create that within your work. So you're going from what looks like a bumblebee to a feeling of, you know, of colors and all that sort of thing, you know, into a painting to represent the bumblebee. So they are two very different things. So when you take your picture, your picture of your drawing on your tracing paper, it doesn't matter what level you're at. It doesn't really matter if it's a complicated picture or not. You know, even if, you know, you've got one with like a little house or something, it's absolutely fine. So if I'm going to go along with this one here, and I have drawn just with pencil a very simple picture, and it is on my paper, on my watercolor paper, I've drawn a square. So I've just gone around it, basically, the same size. So some of you might have the same size paper. That's absolutely fine too. Okay. Right. So the first thing we are going to do is draw a grid like this, basically, on top of our picture. So for that, we need a ruler. And we are just going to, so mine is 12 by 12. If it was 10 by 10, then you just divide it in 4, and it'll be 2.5 centimeters each time. So for me, it's 3 centimeters each time. And we're just going to do that on every side, and you just divide it up into 4. So yeah. There we are. And that's where the red pen comes in handy. Now, just in case the pen would leak, I'm just going to draw on the back of my pencil drawing. And I'm just going to connect those points. If you haven't got a watercolor paper, it doesn't really matter. As long as you've got a reasonably good drawing paper, something that's fairly strong, it's absolutely fine, because we're not going to drain it with water, so it's okay, it won't buckle. So here we are. So we've got the squares on there. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing onto my actual paper, but obviously not in red pen. So I'm also going to do it fairly light. There we are. Is everyone okay? Are there any questions at all?
No, I think it seems okay at the moment.
Excellent. How we like it. And then we're just going to keep those lines fairly light because you don't want it to sort of stand out. And I actually hold my pencil at the back because then you can't put any pressure on there. So just hold it at the back.
Hold on, Helga, we've got Beatrice. Oh. Hold on a second. Hi, Beatrice, you're on mute at the moment.
Wait.
Hello.
Hello. When I don't understand with the red pen, what do we need to do?
So with the red pen, I basically, first of all, I divided the length of the paper, the width of the paper into 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that on every side.
Yeah.
And then I've connected all those points. So in this case, I have got 16 squares.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, Beatrice.
Bye. It's just so you see it better. I mean, it doesn't have to be red. If you like pink, that's fine. Any color will do. There we are.
It's a bit like a Rubik's Cube.
It is. Has everyone caught up with me?
I think it's okay. They can be doing it while you're maybe starting to talk about the next.
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to turn my pencil drawing upside down. So the pencil is on the bottom. So if you've forgotten it like I did just now, I couldn't actually tell which side it was. I just press through it to make sure it's coming through onto my cardboard. And then I know that the pencil is on the bottom. And then what we are going to do is, so obviously everything is nicely in order. We are now going to transfer it onto here, each square, but not in the same order. Otherwise we might as well have drawn it on here. And that's why you needed to have it on tracing paper. Now, what is a good way of doing it, especially if you can't see the squares very well, is to, so if I start here, there we are. So what I didn't want to do is put that one over there. So as long as it's somewhere else, we're okay. There we go. I'm just going to go over it straight away with pencil. It doesn't matter if that's nicely pressed through. It doesn't matter at all. So I've done that one. I'm just going to put a scribble on there. I'm going to do the next one. Just, choose a square, doesn't matter which one. So make sure it's nicely lined up. Well, that one's an easy one. So obviously the more complicated you're drawing, the longer that will take you.
And so if you just did one house here, I guess you could do that, and you could take segments of that one house. Is that right?
You can, or if, for example, you only had a house and you only have 4 squares, for example. So if that was your entire drawing, you could just make it repeat here and there. So you could take each part of the, each square, have it 2 or 3 times, so there's no, no rule to this.
I'm just going to invite Jan in to ask a question. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Hello, Jan. You're on mute at the moment. Hello. Oh, you're back on mute.
Okay, what you can do if you find it difficult to see the lines come through. So I've done those 4 at the top, and I'm just going to cut it. So there you go. I've done them anyway, so I can get rid of them.
Jan, hello. Can you hear us? Oh, I don't think we can hear you, unfortunately. I don't know whether your microphone's set up properly. If you want to, there's a chat feature. If there's something important, you can write on the chat and I'll hopefully see it there.
So you can see already how everything is sort of starting to be a little bit more distorted. If it goes over the edge, don't worry, doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
It reminds me of that little, I don't know what you call it, those little plastic shuffleboard things, and you can move things around. You know what I mean? And jumble up the pattern, and then you've got to try and sort it out again.
That's right. So you just take them apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does, doesn't it? Same sort of concept. How are we all getting on? No, everyone all right? No questions?
I think it's looking okay at the moment.
Perfect.
I think everybody's very busy.
It does take a while, actually. Yes.
Their grids.
And then after a while, you start to think, okay, I've got a very sort of practically empty square there. I certainly don't want to put another empty one next to it. I want to balance that out a little bit. So this one here is pretty empty. So I'm going to make sure I've got that a little bit further away from it.
And the interesting thing is you're doing everything, even if there's just a little tiny bit of line from the square above seeping in, you're still doing that little tiny.
That's it. That's right. So you're just sort of creating a complete different reality almost. So it's all a bit, you know, unrecognizable, which is great fun.
And do you do a lot of abstract art like this in your, normally? Is it abstract the thing that you warm towards?
No. No, this is the thing with teaching. You sort of tend to do a little bit this, that, and the other. Do a bit of everything. I like works with a bit of fun into it, like a little bit of humour in my works. There's one that you've put on the website, I noticed, with saggy bottoms in Hastings. That's a sort of thing. I like to work with collage, but my work is sort of half abstract, but there are parts in there that people really can, you know, recognize.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's sort of the beauty of teaching, is that, especially what I do, I teach mainstream classes for adults as well as the special needs. So it's just such a broad field of you know what I teach, but it's exciting, and it's keeps you on your toes. Not just do one thing. So yeah, I like working with mono printing, and I like working with collage, and then loads of different techniques within that, trying to create different I don't know, textures and everything. Fascinated by that.
Because I would imagine every different type of material that you use has different techniques and different ways of. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So, for example, the mono printing that I do with oil-based ink. Okay. So then the watercolors that I put on top will repel. So it creates, really quite an interesting effect. But you know, the thing is with art is the more you do, the more techniques you try out, the more you will learn, and then you will sort of find out, even if it's just one little tiny bit of a technique that you can then use within your working method. And that's what makes it so much fun, really makes it interesting. Right, I'm nearly there. Has everyone caught up pretty much?
Caroline wants to ask a question. Hello, Caroline. You're on mute at the moment.
Please, can we have some more time?
Of course, yes.
Don't worry. Well, actually, maybe after this, that would be a good half-time stop, do you think?
Perfect. Yeah. And
we could announce the winner from last week. So what we'll do once Helga's done this, Caroline, is we'll kind of have a bit of a pause while I announce the winner from last week. Thank you.
It's great. It feels like I'm on Art Attack. But I'm not Neil. There we are. Done.
Wow. I'm sure it'll make sense in the second half.
No.
Right. Well, this is a good time to have a little bit of a stop while we take a little time out. We will announce the winner of last week's competition. So let me bring in today's mystery guest. Can you imagine who it might be? Right. Let me find you. Here we go. Here we go. You're on mute. Our mystery guest. I don't know whether they were ready to be invited. Aha, here we go. Can you unmute? Oh, I can do that. Hold on a second. Here we go. The mystery guest is Jane Ettridge.
Hello, everyone. Well, I'm really enjoying this webinar. I know that. I never thought of doing all that with the squares. Because when I saw the drawing, I thought, well, why are we doing it on greaseproof and not just straight on the watercolour paper? And now I know. It's fascinating, so I'm really enjoying it.
Brilliant.
But, the winner of last week's Buzzy Bee.
Oh, hold on. I'm going to share my screen so that I can do a simultaneous thing. Or I don't know if when I press share, I don't know whether it'll show it, but let's see. So Jane, do you want to announce the winner?
Yeah, so honestly, such fantastic work. Did you see Alan had to get on a bit then? Yeah, he always has to always has to appear in the background somewhere. Fantastic work, and well, children and adults, and I was just spoilt for choice, and I had a lot emailed personally to me as well. So, you know, after much deliberation, I'll just tell you who it is because I've got it on my phone. Just hang on a minute. It's Rishi, and Rishi, that's it, Rishi Kondipudi. He's already asked a question, I think, today, unless it's another.
Yes, it might have been.
Unless it's
Rishi.
someone else named Rishi.
Yeah.
But I love this because he's obviously, it's different to everyone else's. I love how he's written Bumblebee at the top, and he's looked up and investigated all different types of bumblebees and all their different names. So it inspired him, this painting, you know, it made him want to investigate and learn more about them. And that's why I picked Rishi.
It's fantastic. 12 years old as well. I think you've got
Absolutely
a
lovely.
good future ahead of you, Rishi.
You have, Rishi, yes.
Brilliant. So congratulations. And I will now go and create your award. So here we go. So I'm going to go to Jane's shop. And you get the famous key ring. So let's click to personalize and let's add your artwork into the key ring. So here we go. Where is it, winner? There we go.
Oh, that looks great.
I can move it around. I think I'm going to move it so that the bumblebee thing. There we go. Perfect. That looks pretty good. So we like that. What a great looking key ring that will be. That'll be fantastic. So Rishi, if you can send me, I think you are on this chat. So if you can send me your address, or if your parents can send me your address, or whoever is the responsible adult at the household, and then we can post that off to you. It's shipped within 72 hours. It's made to order, so it should be with you very shortly. So congratulations, and yes, well done.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jane.
You're welcome.
Goodbye.
See you next week.
Yeah. Right, Helga.
Hello.
Back with you. Thank you for that. So now let's hopefully that's given everybody a bit of time to catch up now. So hopefully we can go on to part 2.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you.
So hopefully you've all got a drawing of some sort. We are going to add colour now, and I asked you, well, I basically said that these are the colours I've used. That doesn't mean that's what you have to do. Any colours will do. But these are the ones I've used on the picture that was on the advertisement. So just in case you've got them, I've got a greenish yellow, a red brown, a horizon blue, royal blue, and I think it was Payne's grey or something, or Nordic blue, whichever. Any dark blue will do. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to stick to those colours at all. So I've got.
Well, Helga, hold on one second. We've got Rishi on the line.
Yeah.
Rishi?
Thank you so much.
Hey, no, congratulations. So if you just get your mum or dad or whoever to send your address, and then we'll send that prize off to you. But well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, that's lovely. It was very good, actually. I love the words.
I
do a lot of writing within my words as well. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
Nice
really
way to
creative.
create something. Very good. In this one here, you could actually put collage, so that might be an idea.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, we haven't got quite time for this, but at home, definitely. Got a little colour wheel here. So you don't have to stick to the colours that I'm going to use at all. If you prefer, to use sort of lovely warm yellows and orange tones and sort of red tones, and then maybe a dark tone, maybe a purple tone, you'll sort of get all these lovely warm colours there. Feel free to do that. It'll all work. Yeah. So there's no right or wrong at all. So yeah. So right, here we go. So the first thing we want to do is bring a little bit of balance into the work. So I'm going to start with this greeny yellow, because it's it's a nice light color. And I'm going to basically here and there add it to the shapes. Some of you might think, oh, a roof is red. Don't do that. Yeah. So on purpose, straight away, step away from it. You can go on to dry paper, it doesn't matter, or you can make your paper wet first, like Jane Bettridge last week was doing. So obviously, if you make it wet, your colors will dry just that little bit lighter than when you put it on. Right, here we are. So it's a little bit like sort of filling it in here and there. Now, got this shape here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this shape out of the square. Okay. So we're creating something new yet again.
So you're basically ignoring the grid lines now.
Absolutely. Yeah. They were just there to help you to set up a drawing that most people probably would struggle to do something like that, just, freehand. Yeah. So the whole idea was just to give everyone a bit of an understanding on how you get from something that looks normal to something that looks completely upside down and maybe a bit bonkers.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I like bonkers.
And that explains me. Right, so I'm going to do the same thing here. So that's where the line is. I'm just going to ignore it, and I'm just going to carry on in that shape. Yeah. And come over here. So I'm kind of, almost going in every corner there, just to balance the colors out a little bit. It's a good way to start anyway. Silly little thing. I've always got 2 jars with water. One is for rinsing my brush, and the other one, once my brush is clean, I'll put it in the clean water, and then you always work with fresh colors. It's a really good, silly thing, silly tip, but It's an important one. I'm just going to bring this up a little bit, not all the way. I'm just creating a different shape yet again. Good.
So you initially did use the grid a bit on that one, and then
Yes,
decided to, because it's such a blank space, so you just a bit more creative.
that's it. So I'm just going to take some of my red-brown color, and I'm just going to go over here, and it will run into each other, and it doesn't matter. I like it when it runs into each other. It creates lovely, lovely effects. And you could, if you wanted to, you could lift it a little bit, and it goes nowhere. So if it does happen, you just take your yellow again, and then you work from the bottom upwards, and then when it touches, it will run. I'm working with very absorbent paper, so making it a little bit wet beforehand is better.
You've only used 2 colors so far, but already it's totally transformed from the pencil drawing that you had.
Yeah, and working with a limited palette is good, because you know, I work with 2 colors, but actually we've already got 3 there. So a limited palette is good, because it will all hang together much better. You will balance it out much better. So I'm just going to add a little bit of blue into it. I'm just going to put it into the brown and let it run a little bit. I'm just going to put a drop of water there, and again that will create some interesting patterns anyway. I just leave that alone for a bit. I go back to my brown. And I want something else there in between. Let's go with a nice bright blue. So if we had more time, I would put little bits of newspaper and things on there, and then use that as part as the work as well. It's always great to do. It's always nice to sort of use this as a bit of information to start you off with, and then you sort of try and create your own work with it.
The interesting thing with this, whereas last week it was painting something that you knew what it looked like a bumblebee, whereas this week this is very much seeing shapes and patterns within what you've drawn, and
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
creativity to the.
Yeah, it's really taking a lot of people out of their comfort zone, something like this, but hopefully we've sort of done it in a way that's accessible to everyone.
Yeah, no, I think it's brilliant.
It's very therapeutic, actually. Whoop. Sorry, just knocked my head on the camera.
I've got to say your phone contraption, I've got to show people the phone contraption. It looks brilliant. It's a big cantilever. In fact, the secret is you've used a leg of the easel. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. Yes, it's just my easel. Flattened it out.
That's fantastic. It's brilliant.
Better than yesterday's, isn't it?
Yes. We'll have to take a photo of that one. That was quite a contraption.
I'm afraid I had to dismantle it. How is everyone getting on? Any questions? Everyone's too busy.
I think so.
Or they've run away. So water is a great thing. So there's nothing on my brush and I'm sort of, wiping it away a little bit. And then just with nothing, with a damp brush, you can really sort of blend it slightly and then it sort of runs. And the same thing, if you've got a little bit of water, you can just drop it into your paint and it will push the pigments away and it just creates this lovely, lovely patterns. So for the people who didn't have watercolor, one or two people contacted me. You could do this with acrylic as well. As long as you water it down, it's okay. How are we doing for time? Is it because it's quite?
I think it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. I'm relaxed.
I'm
sure everybody else is. Now, are you picking that sort of lighter blue because of the sky being there, or? Oh,
no, I try not to think sky at all.
Okay.
It's just because I like the contrast. So yeah, this is why I started with the roof, sort of that greeny color, just to try and step away from the actual real colors it should be.
So you should be thinking of them more just as sort of art objects rather than houses.
Yeah. Shapes, balancing colors, and that's it really. It's just you create a complete new reality. Love this blue. This is called royal blue. So beautiful. So you just look at it as a whole. So try not to concentrate on a square, for example. You just sort of start to look at it as a whole picture. So, there's quite a fair bit of blue here, but, I need something over here as well. So I'm trying to balance it all out a bit. Whoops.
So when you're putting a particular color on, are you trying to visually balance it? So if you put it top left, you might decide to have it also down right.
That's it. That's right. And then some colors are stronger than others. So for example, if someone's using yellow or orange, they're very strong colors. So they red as well, a bright red, so they will stand out. So you don't want to use as much of that as, for example, green, which is a much more, you know, subtle color. It's something your eye will tell you. It's, you know, something that we sense quite easily. Unless you're colorblind like my husband.
That could be a bit of a problem.
Oh, it's hysterical. I shouldn't say that. I'm just going to bring that out.
Would you ever consider leaving things unpainted so it's a fine white?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And also, because I sort of mentioned to bring white or to have white ready. And then we can paint white on top of it as well.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. So this is one of another teaching session I did. And so with this one, we just worked with the squares only. So rather than pull it through, we just work with the squares only. So it's not, you know, nothing wrong about, you know, not carrying on. So yeah, that's absolutely perfectly possible. And then you can see how I've allowed for the white to be in there as well. So yeah, everything goes, it's fine.
That's a great thing with abstract.
and any art, I think, well, unless you really go into classical art, but
We've got Tricia wanting to ask a question. Hold on, Tricia. You're on mute. Tricia?
Hi,
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi. Oh, hello. I was going to ask, once your paint's dried, is there anything that you can do to still get that blending effect?
I think it sometimes depends on the quality of paper, but what I sometimes do is I wet it again and then just work, you know, on top of it. Or if, for example, if this red is dry, you could wet where it's yellow and just go over the edge a little bit and then drop some of the ready brown and the yellow into it, and hopefully that will then, you know, merge again.
Bleed in.
Yeah, we're still going to work on top of this as well with other, you know, with the little bits of cardboard and everything. So don't worry about it too much. It'll work out. It'll be fine.
Okay, well, thank you.
All
Thanks,
right.
Tricia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because your housing landscape that you did initially did have quite a few houses in, so there's quite a few objects, isn't there?
Yeah. It's quite a busy one. How is everyone sort of getting on? Are some of you kind of nearing the end, or do we need loads of time?
I wish there was an easy way for people to just. I could ask everyone to put their hand up if they're okay, but don't, because then I have to put it all down again.
Yeah, do it. I'm sort of slightly speeding things up a little bit, but it's just to get the idea, really.
It just looks so totally different from where we were when we had those pencil outlines.
Yeah, and that's the sort of the fun bit, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Show the next stage. Oh, my paint's gone dry.
Would you mind just showing a close-up, just bringing it up to the camera a little bit, just to... Great. Yeah. That's brilliant, thanks.
So, just going to take a little bit more paint because it's all gone dry. And what I have got is some bits of card, just bits of paper actually. They're just hard, they're quite thick paper, but anything, because I put on, I think, a box, biscuit box or something, the packaging. So what I've done here is I cut it into different shapes, and I've always got bits and pieces like this laying around, so this is a used one. And I cut them to kind of different sizes, and then I paint with it, because I feel with cards you get such interesting lines rather than with a paintbrush sometimes. So here we go. I'm still going to work with the same colors, and I'm just going to dip this, don't know if you, yeah, into the paint, and then I'm going to print with it basically. Because I love printing, and so printing always seems to sort of become part of my work somehow. And it's great for dragging an area as well. So, so for example, here, I'm just going to drag that, and I love that whole effect it suddenly creates. So I'm just going to dip this into the white. It doesn't matter, there's still blue on it. And I'm just going to work on the edge of where that sort of wall is, or whatever it is, and then you have this. Take a bit of red or brown even. There we are. So you get a complete different texture, but still with the same paint and the same colors.
Do you mind just showing a close-up of that on the screen? Just bringing that up, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. See, would have thought it has to be expensive paintbrushes.
Just a biscuit box. It
Yeah.
gives you an excuse to buy a pack of biscuits as
Well,
well.
this is why I put it on, because I thought, well, I can't, because I tend to use things like paracetamol boxes or something. So I can't put that on there. So children are watching.
I
But
prefer
yeah,
biscuit boxes
biscuits,
to
absolutely.
paracetamol.
Yeah, but they're sort of the perfect shape and strength to do this with. And you can repeat things, you know, like I'm just going to put a light blue one, the same as this. And because it's a lighter blue, it'll sort of appear like it's more in the distance. But you get like a rhythm that sort of starts to come back. And then I'm going to do the same on this side later to balance that out. So I'm now, not only am I sort of filling in shapes and carrying them on, I'm now picking out parts within that work, and I'm repeating them, and I'm elongating things. So that was a little roof, so I'm now turning that into something that carries on.
We've just got a question from Shirley. Yeah, hold on a second. Hi, Shirley.
Hello, hello. I just wondered what make of paper you were using.
This one here is a Saunders, same paper, funnily enough, as Jane Bettridge was using. It's a very heavy paper. The ones I've done before is just that was a very thin one. Nothing special, just a probably Bockingford or something I've used there. But it does, because we're not really working with an awful lot of water.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be thick paper at all.
Right, thank you.
So,
Thank you, Shirley.
I like the way the lines that are being created are, no single line is the same. You know, they're all different thicknesses, because we've dipped it in more than one color. You get this lovely variation in just one line. I like that. You can pull things through. All works.
Brilliant. I like the use of white on the color as well. It really does.
It lifts it, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've just taken a little one, just makes it a bit easier if you want to obviously work on a smaller scale. So you sort of sit back and then have a look, see if it's balancing, and then you just, carry on really.
I can see it really starting to come to life now. It's
This makes such a difference, isn't it? Just the bits of, what you do with the paper, I think is brilliant.
mm.
So you get the idea a little bit. So another thing that I like doing is to work a little bit with gold into it. And I think Jane Bettridge was using that in the week before, I think. It's this thing here called aqua bronze. So this one is what's called a rich gold, and it's a powder, so ever so fine powder. And you can either sprinkle it on a wet surface, which I won't do here, or you can pre-dilute it. So you can just add.
And if you didn't have this at home, if you just were working with more basic tools, could you use glitter or something like that, maybe?
Glitter is fine, because what you can do is do the same. So for example, work with your card and put some PVA glue if you've got some glue, or take it through a Pritt stick or something, and do the same thing. And then so do that with PVA glue, and then put the glitter onto it, and the glitter will only stick where the PVA glue is. So then after
brilliant.
Tap it, and it'll absolutely does the same thing. Yeah, no problem at all. There's always a way out. So I've just done the same thing with gold, and the gold's particularly nice next to this blue. That's so lovely, those two together. And again, it just sort of lifts it all. So it gives you a little bit of an idea of what you can do. So you don't have to stick to the colors that I'm using. So this one here was with obviously completely different colors. Let's have a look. So that's the one we did. Just move that to one side. This is one with more organic shapes, and then you could work into it with pen, and it's really therapeutic. So if you feel a bit a bit stressed out, it's a lovely way to just try and relax. And I was playing yesterday, and I've been trying to put a base down with, some of you might know this, it's called bleeding tissue paper. So it's just like tissue paper, and you wet it, and then it sticks, and then it all falls off and it's dry, and it leaves all the shapes behind. It's great fun. So it's like just being a child.
That might be a topic for another week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just absolutely brilliant. So then I've been doing the drawing like we did earlier in there. And then I will play with that, and then play with the colors that are already there. So a complete different way of working. But I just like to try different things out.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Would you mind holding that up a bit closer to the, I know your fingers are all dirty.
That's all right, doesn't matter. Oh, no, I've got upside down, haven't I? Oh, dear. I'm so used to teaching in the classroom, so I keep turning everything around.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, it just gives it a bit of a, put a mount around it. Always.
If you were trying to do a picture for, in your own home, you could pick the same sort of color schemes, couldn't you, for in a room, and really bring out certain, and I love the use of gold or glitter or whatever. It really makes it stand out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
Absolutely. And you could do this with anything, because, any picture, it'll work. You know, it's just a bit of fun, really. Bit of
no, that's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, Helga, that was a really good session. I learned loads there, and as Jane said earlier on, you know, about doing that grid and moving things around, really fantastic. It's really interesting.
It was, great fun.
I hope everyone else has done really well. I'm really looking forward to seeing your submissions and seeing how everything has gone there. We're obviously going to be doing another competition this week for best painting, which will be judged by Helga. So simply send your picture along with your name and age if you're under 20 to arty@shopkeepeasy.com. So that's arty@shopkeepeasy.com. It's the same email that you were sent the confirmation when you registered for this webinar, and we'll add your pictures then onto the blog so that we can see it all, and Helga can obviously judge it for next week. Also, again, please don't forget to register for next week's session. We've got something rather topical planned. That's about as much as I can say, but details will be coming more soon. But obviously, if you've registered, then you're sort of on the list and you'll get the reminder an hour before the event. Helga, that's yes. So now, brilliant artwork and brilliant sessions donated for free by our artists. You've obviously created and will create in the coming days some amazing art, and there's a really innovative way where you can actually help support the artists like Helga for their time, and that is basically by, when you've created your art, you can then visit Shopkeep Arty, click on featured art, and there's obviously artwork items that the artists like Helga have created here, but you can then go to Helga's shop and you can actually create your own product or item using the artwork that you've created. So it's a really fun way of bringing it to life. Anything from a canvas that you can hang on your wall, and we've got rectangular, square, circular ones, to clocks, to mugs, to ceramic mugs, even a personalized Apple Watch strap. So you can even take the image, which potentially with this type of abstract art could really look quite nice. And you can literally click on here, you can select what type of buckle you have, a black one or whatever, and you can upload your artwork onto that watch strap. Obviously, you would need an Apple Watch. The Apple Watch is not included. I need to say that. So anyway, so that's a really good way to give something, and Helga gets a donation for that item bought. So it's a really good way of supporting the artist as well as bringing your artwork to life as a gift for a special somebody. So just thought I'd mention that. So Helga, thank you. Can we have a look at the artwork again on the thing that you've just done today, because that's fantastic. That's really good. Thank you so much for your time, Helga. It was really great, and I loved the mobile phone tripod. That was that was another bit of art in its own right.
It was better than a pebble and a lamp.
Yes. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Oh, we've got a couple of people putting their hands up. Linda, first of all. Linda, you're on mute.
Oh, thank you for showing us that. I really enjoyed it and look forward to having a go. I'm trying to register for next week, but it's still showing that you're going to do your program again next week as well.
Oh, is it? You need to, are you sure that link, oh, let's have a look. If you go to the live art section, and it should have next week, Tuesday the 5th of May, and if you click on that, you're right. I will change that link.
Thank you very much. Hope to see you.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Helga.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me know. It was going all so well until that final further. And then we've got hold on a minute. Let's just we've also got, we had somebody else, but actually they've gone now. Oh, Anne. Hello, Anne. You're on mute.
Hi. My question was exactly the same as that one. I've been trying to register and couldn't.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I will change it in the next 10 minutes once we finish this webinar.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Brilliant. So thank you very much, Helga, and we'd love to have you back at some point. So we'll see what comes up. And brilliant. Thank you, everyone. And until next week.
Thank you.
Bye.